Now I'd like to pass it to my personal spirit animal, the lead game designer, Wyatt Chang.
BlizzCon, we want to use mobile devices as the platform for a new Diablo game. Because nothing brings a family together like slaying demons. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
everyone's got a phone.
Right? Hello, everyone.
You should probably wait until you're seated before you start.
Sorry, I always like to do that. I was on Reddit yesterday, just a quick side thing. You can now buy Star Wars Battlefront 2 for $7.
It's true.
Okay?
That's absolutely true.
That's what happens, okay, when you are evil and you create evil games. They end up selling for $7. Everybody.
Do you guys not have $7?
Do you guys not have like $1? Like, what the hell?
Did you see the Wendy's burn?
No.
On Twitter, you know Wendy's in America. They've got like a Twitter account, and they're pretty spicy.
Oh, really?
And someone said,
Domino's spicy?
Someone shut up. Someone said something like, I don't know, whatever. And then, someone said, and then Wendy said, oh, just do this on your phone. And then the guy said, what if I don't have a phone? And then the official Wendy's account said, well, then you won't be playing the new Diablo game.
Oh,
yeah. And I was like, hey,
ouch, love it.
Hey, you little, I touch you!
Stop! He's already dead.
Topical segue, because today's video is about Diablo, it's about Blizzard, it's about Activision, and about how all of this shit's going down. It's getting pretty messy over there. Blizzard's one of the companies that really, besides Nintendo, no other company has had more of an impact on me personally.
Definitely.
Than Blizzard,
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. It's like it is the golden goose of gaming. Nintendo also is, in my opinion.
For sure.
And they constantly lay those golden eggs.
Exactly.
Is it going to be doing that in the future, though? We'll find out after the drop, baby.
First of all, full credit where it's due. Jason Schreier is responsible for the reporting that this video is based on.
Yep.
Obviously, we did a video on Jason recently, and we said very clearly that we really respect his professionalism and his ability to sort of pull out stories like this.
Now, I'm really looking forward to the comment section.
The comment section is going to be great, sure.
Great.
So absolutely, full credit to Jason for this reporting, and also we've got a link in the description below to his article.
Sure.
So go and check that out if you like.
I'll
for more
remember
detail.
to do it this time.
Yes, please do. So it was a really good article because it actually gave a lot of color to what's happening around the very disastrous Diablo Immortal announcement.
I think it gave a much needed context to what was really going on.
Yeah, the background obviously is that at BlizzCon this year, Blizzard announced Diablo, the new entry into the family-loved series that it's really good playing with your family, I guess.
Everyone loved it.
And it went really well.
It's almost kind of memeable at one point, right? Allow me to set the stage. Diablo Immortal is our chance to shatter millions of players around the world.
And I think that, before, a lot of people might have been thinking that this is just a very tone-deaf, decision from Blizzard. And although I still do think that, this definitely sheds light onto the pressures that they definitely are feeling from other companies that are involved with Blizzard.
Yeah, so there's a few things that shook out of this article. The first was that there was actually another Diablo 3 expansion. So they had Reaper of Souls. They had the Rise of the Necromancer, which wasn't an expansion, it was just a character. But there was another major expansion planned, and then Activision, Blizzard pulled the plug on that, and they said, no, we're not going to do that anymore, for a variety of reasons. But basically, it was sort of interpreted as a vote of no confidence in Diablo 3 as a product.
Yeah.
They said, look, you guys fucked that up too badly. We're not going to go for an expansion. We're going to move straight onto Diablo 4.
It's funny that they think that because it did sell 30 million copies or so. It sounds like a pretty damn successful game.
It was, definitely.
Sure, of course, there was a huge backlash at the beginning of that. We
Big
had
time.
the real money auction house, the buggy,
everything.
Disaster, of course.
Obviously, they thought the pony had bolted at that point, so to speak. So there was none of that. Now, what they said was, we're going to move on to Diablo 4. Diablo 4 initially started out as a Dark Souls-esque style
like a third-person over thing.
Third person, really difficult, really, basically, I won't say Dark Souls clone, because we don't have enough information to say it was a
Everything's
Dark
Dark
Souls
Souls-esque.
clone. Everything is Dark Souls anyway. But, it was meant to be very Dark Souls-esque. And that's a huge shift for the franchise.
Definitely.
And that was in development for a number of months, years, and then eventually it was canned. Okay, so then they said, all right, this isn't working. We're going to reboot it, and we're going to try again on a different vision for Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Clear.
Doctor, he's gone.
This is the part of the job I hate.
So first of all, let's just say that's pretty big news in and of itself.
is. It
that we were going to
definitely is.
get Dark Souls Diablo.
Yeah, and we could have got it actually a few years ago, really, if it was already in development a couple of years ago, and then rebooted in 2016, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe.
So
maybe.
Definitely, you know.
So that's that.
I think that accounts for why we've been waiting so long.
Correct.
That's
correct.
what I mean.
On top of that, Diablo 4 is now in development. It's still isometric currently. You know, the view is still the same, but they're saying it's going to be much darker this time around. So it kind of is at odds with what Wyatt Chang was saying on stage, whereas that Diablo is a family game and you slay demons with your
Slay demons.
So it's weird that they started positioning as a family game, and it was kind of like, why are you doing this? To hear now that Diablo 4 is apparently quite dark and gritty and going back to its sort of more, you know, like gothic roots, that's really good, because nobody wants a fucking G-rated Diablo. Fuck off, please.
And I think it's important that you do know your demographic, and Diablo it's a mature game, you know.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, Deadpool PG is like the only one I can think of, but maybe you can do that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you can actually bring out a product for kids.
sure.
But usually, once your IP is set in a certain way, you've got to honor that, in my opinion.
Definitely. So clearly there's a lot of pressure on Blizzard at the moment to make a successful Diablo game, but more broadly there's pressure on them in general just to be a more successful, more profitable company.
Yeah.
What happened recently was that a new CFO was installed at Blizzard. This person came directly from Activision HQ, and the first thing they said when they got to Blizzard is they've got a very strong focus on cost cutting, and this was very jarring to Blizzard employees. One employee had this to say: "You would have thought Blizzard was going under and we had no money," said a former Blizzard staffer who told me that they left the company this year in part because of Activision's influence. The way every little thing was being scrutinized from a spend perspective. That's obviously not the case, but this was the very first time I ever heard we need to show growth. That was just so incredibly disheartening for me. The idea that Blizzard is not the kind of company that needs to show growth. Blizzard is the kind of company that needs to show incredible genre-defining games.
Yeah.
And the idea that you mess with that ethos, replacing it with a sort of like capitalist, short-term return-focused, you know, shareholder-driven sort of point of view, it's really, really shitty. It's absolutely not the direction that needs to be going. That Blizzard needs to be going.
I agree. I just think, you know, if we look, you know, throughout the eons of time, it's usually the same situation in terms of an artist needs to be an artist, and a business dude needs to be a business dude. You got to let them do their thing. And it's worked up until this point. And I understand that, yes, there may be some changes that need to be made, but you're right, to walk in with such a capitalistic approach to a bunch of artists, and yes, it's going to be very disheartening for them, and of course it's probably going to affect their work when they do feel like they've got, you know, shorter development times, and they've got, you know, all this pressure from a company that they don't even feel, you know, because in the article also it said that they prided themselves on having their own campus and their own kind of individuality,
a way of doing things.
You know?
Look, Blizzard's a company that's had 10-year development cycles, and that means let's spend as much money as possible because it's going to result in the best game possible.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with that. And I get the reality that business is business, and that you can't, you can't be losing money. But there's a difference between making money and achieving growth.
Yes.
Blizzard's making a lot of money right now, but they're not achieving the growth that Activision demands, because that's what shareholders care about. They care about growth.
Blizzard being the golden goose of gaming,
Yeah.
being the, you know, laying the golden eggs constantly, apart from maybe Diablo 3, sure, okay. I just can't see a situation where saving money and minimizing development costs can go hand in hand with constantly creating, you know, genre-defining games
for sure.
that you know, stay at the very top of our gaming industry. It doesn't seem like it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, like you look what happens with Call of Duty. I mean, it's like, let's put out more regular stuff. It's an annualized franchise now. But Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was great. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But like, you've also got a history of like 5 or 6 years before that where it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
It has
Do you know
become
what
a bit
I
of
mean?
a meme in a way.
It's
you know,
total
like,
meme. Like,
you know, so that has an effect.
I think a lot of our concerns are sort of summarized by this quote here within the article, which reads, We're being asked to spend less at every corner because we have no new IP, said one former developer. Because Overwatch set this bar of how much we can earn in a single year, there's a ton of pressure from Activision to get shit moving. They want something to show shareholders. During an earnings call after Overwatch launched, Activision said it had brought in over $1 billion in revenue. Great, fantastic. Really happy that Overwatch was a success.
Sure.
But Overwatch was really the result of about 10 years worth of work across Titan and Overwatch itself.
Yep.
And also like an 18-month-long beta or something like that, where they really fine-tuned that product. So you can't just look at that and say, just do that again. Like, just do that again, guys. It doesn't work that way, Activision.
Yeah, not to mention, that's also the result of course, trial, failure, process, progress, and then success, Like, Titan needed to go into development first and then fail for them to finally find their feet with Overwatch. And that's essential, I think, to this whole process.
And in fact, Blizzard only releases about 50% of the games that they work on. 50% of them just get deleted because they're like, this is shit. So they really pride themselves on cancelling games, and it's a good thing that they cancel games. And the fear now is that because there's this pressure to make money, that maybe less stuff gets cancelled, and it gets pushed out because they're like, it'll do, and we start losing that Blizzard shine that we've come to love.
And I'm sure when they have a game in development, now they have to go to Activision and explain why they're cancelling it, and they're like, well, hang on, we can make a lot of money out of this or whatever. And it seems like there's going to be more and more tension between Blizzard, the artist, and Activision, the corporation.
All of this goes in hand with a very strong push on mobile as well. It turns out that they've got gigantic plans for mobile. Some of their best developers are working on mobile. And if people were thinking that was just a figure of speech, it's not a figure of speech. If you read this article, you will see that some of the most experienced former leaders of Blizzard, are actually working on leading mobile titles.
Wyan Chang, for instance.
Wyan Chang is working on a mobile title. Tom Chilton, like some serious heavy hitters are working on mobile titles. Now, that's not inherently bad, don't get me wrong, because they obviously want to do that. They're interested in sort of driving those games. But it's a big focus for Blizzard. But they're also going in some weird directions. Like, they're at this point literally developing Pokemon Go, but Warcraft. Like, Warcraft Go. That's not a joke. That's a serious thing.
Serious?
And when I read that, I actually thought to myself, isn't it interesting now that Blizzard is following a trend instead of setting one, But I mean, maybe that's just an odd occurrence there. But when we see these developers wanting to work on mobile games, some of them have come out and said because, it's 10 years of working on a single game, they might just want something that only takes a year or two. So that's also something that we need to take in. I don't think that all of them have been like, forced out of things. Some of them willingly want to work on those mobile games, and that's important to mention, I think.
Agreed. We've got a lot of news about Diablo. It was Dark Souls Diablo, and now it's Diablo 4, but darker. There was a cancelled expansion. There's a lot of concern about cost cutting at Blizzard, and in general, the amount of pressure that Activision is putting on Blizzard to produce the next big thing, when that's not how Blizzard works. You've got staff that are leaving because of Activision's influence, and you've got a very strong push towards mobile that's soaking up some of their most talented developers. This really feels like a pivotal moment in Blizzard's history that could result in a very different company. I'm not saying objectively that Blizzard's dead, but what I'm saying is this is a big shift, and we need to definitely watch this space very closely because this company is important to video games.
I think that, I hope that the way that this actually gets fixed is maybe mobile games become like the cash cow for Blizzard. It serves the China market and it serves other people that want to play mobile games. It
frees up.
It frees up the pressure. There we go. Thank you, Ralph. Frees up the pressure from Blizzard, and Activision's happy, and they can go back to those longer windows of development.
I'd be totally fine with Diablo Immortal if it made like $1 billion, and then like Blizzard could just bank that and then spend it on a good game. Do you know what I mean? That's the dream. But we don't know. They might look at all that success and think, fuck it, why bother making Diablo 4?
That's also
it's
a big
too
problem.
much effort. It's too much risk. Let's just make 10 other shitty mobile games, dump them into China, make $10 billion, and our shareholders are happy.
Exactly right.
We don't know which way it'll go, and I think that's the point around. It's a pivotal moment in Blizzard history. Let's track it. We don't know what it is yet. Let's not jump to conclusions. Blizzard's not dead, but it's definitely
Blizzard
something worth.
No kidding.
Thumbnail: Blizzard is dead.
Yeah, totally.
That's the news, guys. Again, shout out to Jason Schreier for this report. And this is his work. It's not ours. We're going to leave the link in the description below. It is definitely worthwhile reporting. That's worth paying attention to.
Definitely.
So do check that out. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you.
And also before you go, we've got thick boy merch, everyone, and thick girl merch.
Okay.
To the end of the month. Okay, love you. Appreciate
Great shilling, Sam.
I love to
Great
shill.
shilling.
I love to shill.
and to
say something, I'm giving up on you.
This bomb is mobile.